world calls it energy, but it's not really energy. When you say, "Oh, I feel your energy" and all that, it's not energy. Those are spirits. Okay. In the book of Daniel, when Gabriel came, was trying to come to give the answer to Daniel when he first started praying, like the first day, but he got stuck for like 21 days. It took him 21 days, and Michael had to come help him fight a principality, right? The prince of Persia, before he was able to come down to earth. I never really practiced. I never practiced witchcraft, but watching it on YouTube and TikTok, I made an altar out of it. Hello, everyone. So, this video is going to be about some of the supernatural things I went through when I was operating through, or that Kundalini spirit. I know you guys had a chance to watch my testimony, but I wanted to share some of the supernatural things that I used to experience, or I experienced, and I believe it came through the Kundalini awakening part of my testimony. The spirit that was operating in me was the same that came from the book of Acts, chapter 16, with the young lady that had the divination spirit. And just wanted to share some of the supernatural things that I experienced, as far as psychic abilities, hearing, not really hearing people's thoughts, but um, just feeling different kinds of spirits around me, and all that stuff. So I'm just gonna, I took down some notes of what I can remember. So one of the first thing that I realized, and I didn't know it back then, is that that I know now, that the Holy Spirit revealed to me, is that the spiritual realm is around us. We just don't see it, right? Just like we can't see uh, everything spiritual, just like we can't see the Lord, angels, demons, right? But they are all around us, right? So one of the first thing I experienced was when I used to drive, and the third eye was open. I used to see a lot of eyes on cars, on back of cars. Not little eyes, but the headlights on the back of cars, or any headlights, or anything like that, would literally be shaped like eyes, right? Um, Now I know those are monitoring spirits, right? Or familiar spirits. A lot of people don't know this, but we have familiar spirits that came through our bloodlines that monitor us. Excuse me. We have that monitors us, right? It's called familiar spirits. They know everything about our family. They know everything about your bloodline, and Satan does not have. It's not like God, right? He's counterfeit, so he can't be everywhere all at once. Only Jesus Christ can. But Satan has his kingdom, the kingdom of darkness, is set up where, since he can't be anywhere, remember Satan is a created being, since he can't be everywhere at once, he has different levels of hierarchy or whatever. But we all have familiar spirits, or spirits that monitors us and reports back to the kingdom of darkness. Okay, so that's one of the things I started realizing with is that things were shaped like eyes, and I didn't know it back then. What I know now, coming out of what I came out and being saved, and the Holy Spirit revealing all these things, is those are actually monitoring spirits that are attached to people, or familiar spirits that's attached. Okay, another thing I noticed during the time of the operating through that third eye is when I would come near when I was at work, when I would come near lights, it used to flicker, like you would see in movies. It used to flicker, light, switch it, light used to flicker around me. Okay, another insight, and I had a lot of insight of the kingdom of darkness too. I remember I was at work and I was in the beauty department, and I was staring at the picture, the graphics, and there was two ladies on the graphic. And when I was staring at the two ladies, and um, the picture became demonic. I knew there was um, um, some demonic things behind it. I didn't know it back then, but now I know that um, there are 7 points uh, in our society that Satan not rule people, but kind of deceive people, is through vanity, is through makeup, is through uh, music, is through what we see. There's a lot of programming that goes on, and we don't know about it. But knowing what I know there's a lot of programming that goes on TV, right? That was one of my insights. I knew that the music we listen to, it's carries spirits, right? They're programming, right? I know that the things we watch, especially if you're watching scary movies or any kind of, even any movie with some kind of soft line lust, right? It carries spirits, right? And those are set up to program people. A lot of shows and Disney channels for children that talks about, I knew that this is with my third eye open, right? A lot of shows or even cartoons with fairy godmother, mother, and um, that has to do with magic. Like when my kids were younger, they used to watch The Wizard of Waverly Place, right? With with a lot of magic stuff in it, right? And I didn't know it back then, but what I know now, all those things are programmed to make it seem like wanting to be a witch is fun, or wanting to be a wizard is fun, like Harry Potter. Wanted to be like a lot of that stuff is programmed to people. Even the Lord of the Rings are a lot of that stuff is programmed. It makes you desire sin, but you don't know that if you don't know Christ, if you don't read the Bible, you will know that all that stuff is demonic. You will know that all that stuff just open doors. You would know that even I believe, right? This is another insight I had. A lot of the movies are giving to a lot of directors. I believe that I had that insight from the kingdom of darkness, because some of the movies that now I think about, some of them are, it's like the enemy is telling us what he's doing in plain sight through movies, through even the things we listen to. And we just obliviate to it. We're coming into agreement with it by watching it, right? We're coming into agreement with it by listening to it. But that's what Satan does. He's it's all about agreements, just like it's all about covenants. Covenants, you don't have to really practice in the spirit realm. You don't have to really touch something physically that's dark, as long as you participate in it, right? Watching, listening are a form of participating, and it's a form of agreement, of agreeing. So that's how doors are open, and that's how Satan has access into your life, right? It's through what you watch, what you listen to. So it's important to protect your eye gate and your ear gate, right? Especially with what happens with me, right? How third eye became open by just watching a bunch of videos I was clueless about. on YouTube and listening to it and coming in, participating by just watching. I never really practiced I never practiced witchcraft, but watching it on YouTube and TikTok, I made an altar out of it because I watched it all the time, or even watching it, I came into agreement with it, and I believed it, right? Um, and so the enemy will get you that way with coming into agreement with things you watch, right? He'll program you with things you watch. So parents, watch what your children, uh, uh, even games, even games, especially games. And then, and then another thing I noticed too is don't go to sleep with the TV. Do not go to sleep with the TV, and especially if you're watching something demonic. Don't do that. All right. So that was another insight I had. Another insight I had is the enemy program us with clothes. Um, a lot of young kids, teenagers, they um, dress provocative. They dress without a lot of clothes on. I had that insight where I used to work at, especially when I was in the department where it was for teenagers. I knew that um, there was programming there, and some of the t-shirts that we sold had witchcraft symbolism on them, and we just don't. We just people don't know, they're clueless, right? Um, um, or so I just that's another thing. Also, is mm, another supernatural. My other supernatural experiences were when things would drop on the floor, like, and it startled me. I knew something bad was gonna happen, and now that I think about it, it's not that I knew something bad was gonna happen. It's because I was manifesting a lot through that spirit of divination, because it used a combination of things with New Age. One of them being is the angel numbers, right? It tells you 55522, whatever, those demonic numbers. It tells you it would tell you what each meant, right? And I tell you every time, like I think when I used to hate 555 because it was kind of like bad. And every time I used to see that number, I would think something bad was going to happen. And true enough, it manifested that day. Something bad happened. Or it was a lot of manifestation that happened. Um, doing, doing that, doing my experience with that divination spirit. Okay. Um, I would find a lot of feathers on the floor, thinking that it was good luck or something like that, or thinking that the angels were around me. Right? It's a feather from angels, or angel left it. It was a bunch of lie. Right? So it was feathers were purposely staged. Right? And then another thing is I would feel people's emotions. It was hard for me to be around people, especially with the kind of job that I had. I had a job where I was in public all the time, either with my colleagues or even with, with clients or customers. I was in the public all the time, so I would feel a lot of different emotions. I thought they were emotions, but it's spirits. I would feel different kinds of spirit off of people. Um, um, the world calls it energy, but it's not really energy. When you say, "Oh, I feel your energy" and all that, it's not energy. Those are spirits. Okay, um, just beforehand, I used to call it energy, but they're really spirits on people that I used to feel a lot of different kinds of spirit, clean spirit, unclean spirit. Um, Also, I used to hear a lot of voices in my head. Also, I would, when my ear would ring a lot, and I knew it was just um, a gateway to spirits, something, and I've heard that. Also, I was very emotional, and another thing is I knew my body had changed, and it came through the form of the Kundalini awakening, and the Kundalini awakening or Kundalini is a form of serpent, right? That's coiled inside your body, and and which is the divination comes out. But I knew that something was different about it. Every time the third eye was open, I would literally feel the middle of my forehead open. Um, I remember I used to look in the mirror, and I used to like open my eyelid, looking in the mirror, and I used to see literally the pupil of my eye shaped like a serpent. It's the scariest thing. It's shaped like a serpent. Okay. Um, and what's some of the supernatural things I experienced? I remember. Okay, it's two more things that I remember. One of them is I remember I was uh, during the time when the third eye was open. I thought again, this is all from God, right? And these gifts that I had and all that stuff um, came from God. So I remember I was going through a drive-through fast food restaurant drive-through, and I was crying. I was crying to God. I was going through something, and I was sobbing and weeping. And I kid you not, something came from the second heaven because it flew right there next to my face, and I could feel it moving. And I just went like this when I was driving my car. That was so strange. And now I know um, the spirit didn't want me to cry too long for God to hear me or something like that, because we do have spirits that block our prayers, okay, that block our cries, right? It's like this, that whatever spirit came and landed next to my ear was not happy that I was weeping and crying and praying to God at all. It was like it was trying to block it, just like when in the book of Daniel, when Gabriel came, was trying to come to um, give the answer to Daniel when he first started praying, like the first day, but he got stuck in the heavens, in the heavenlies for like 21 days. It took him 21 days, and Michael had to come help him fight a principality, right? The prince of Persia, before he was able to come down to earth, give the message that God to the answer of Daniel's prayer. All right, there's spirits that do block our prayers, but you have to keep pressing through. You have to keep pressing through, just like Daniel did. He just have 21 days, he just kept pressing through, praying, praying, praying. You have to keep pressing through because me, I'm here to tell you my testimony because I pressed through, right? I seek the Lord, I pressed through, right? And sure enough, I met our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Father, our Father, who are in heaven. But He's not just in heaven; He's everywhere. But so that was one of another supernatural that I had. It's a lot of it's so many different supernatural things that I experienced. Most of all, oh, I do remember. Um, it was hard for me to sleep by myself at night because I always felt that there was a spirit watching me, and there was. And so I remember one night I slept in my grandson's room, and he just had celebrated a birthday, and he had these birthday balloons. They were floaty birthday balloons. It floated to the ceiling of his bedroom, and 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 I used to sleep with the covers over my head, and even still, I would always hear chatter in my ear, spirits in my ear, talking. And I remember I took the covers off my face and I looked up at the ceiling and I saw the balloon. The balloon had characters, had characters on it, and then one of the eye of the character kept blinking, right? Um, and so now I know that was a monitoring spirit. Okay. Um, Also, what's the other experience? Oh, okay. This one is big. So I experienced this with a colleague of mine at work. So I had a couple of coworkers that are from the Philippines, where I used to work at. And I remember one came back from visiting her mom. And when she came back, I would say a week or two after she came back, she started coughing a lot. And I didn't think anything of it, but she was coughing a lot to the point where she was trying to push through. But she had to take some few days off. And, so, and I think that they couldn't figure out what it was at first or something like that, the doctors. But I have a girlfriend that I work with that we talked a lot all the time, and we each had a store that we ran, and around the same time when my colleague was sick, uh, she was telling me a story about one of her colleagues that came back from her country, and she had to call out from work because she became sick, and she just came from her country, and and I had this knowing, and I asked my girlfriend. I said, "Is she from the Philippines?" And then my girlfriend said, "Yes." And I said, "Well," and I had this knowing, and I don't know how I knew, but I had that third eye open, right? But I said, "Well, that's because," and it just came out. And after it came out, I'm like, okay, how did I know that? So what came out of my mouth was this. I was telling my girlfriend that, okay, what's happening is they are spraying things in the air. They are spraying chemicals in the air to cause the people in those third world countries or any in third world countries, they are spraying things in the air to cause them to be sick, to cause them to have cancer. They are so they could give up their land so they could build resorts. Okay. I said they're putting things in the air, and this is why when people that's visiting those countries come back, they're having that effect, that side effect, right? And I told my girlfriend that, and I'm like, and she's like, oh, okay, and I'm like, how did I know that? But I knew that that's what they do in certain countries. I knew that. How did I knew that? I had insight from the kingdom of darkness, right? And that the government put things in the air, chemicals in the air, like or chemicals in people's food to give them cancer, to make them sick, to cause them to die, and it's all about greed, right? Uh, 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 and I'm sorry to say that, but I knew that from my third eye being open, that it's all about greed. Uh, and a lot of these politicians are working with the devil, right? They're working with Satan, right? A lot of people with money, they're part of those societies, those secret societies. And I would have never thought that I would sit here and say it, but I've experienced it. So I know that, right? Um, um, but that causes people to get sick and causes people to get sick to the point where they have to give up their property, right? In these countries, they have to give up their property, they have to give up their lands, so the rich could build resorts in their lands. So I knew that, and this is why um, my coworkers came back sick because of the things they spray in the air that would cause them to get sick. Okay. I think that's about it that I could remember that I experienced when the third eye was open. It's other personal things that I experienced at home. I would, it's not meant for me to share. It's private, but so that is some of my experiences from having that Kundalini spirit, divination spirit, whatever you call it, but it's real, right? And a lot of people that practices New Age or meditation or even yoga, um, they don't know that it comes from a Hindu religion, Kundalini, right? They talk about your chakras. They talk about healing your chakras, and a lot of people go for healing medicine or healing uh, meditation, and they don't know that they're practicing witchcraft. They don't know that they are opening up doors to, and I believe I opened portals, right? What I opened was demonic portals um, by 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 watching what I watch on YouTube. So you can open demonic portals on your TV, even on your what you watch on your phone, right? If you're watching something you're not supposed to, you can open up a demonic. Okay, um, and um, and I think that's about it. Right. So I just wanted to share some of that experience that I had doing the third eye, during the time when the enemy presented himself as an angel of light to me, by thinking that uh, I was those gifts were from God, right? So I thank the Lord for pulling me out of the miry pit. I pray that this video enlightens um, someone, the viewers, of that. There's only two kingdom of darkness and kingdom of light. Okay, and we belong to the kingdom of light. Okay, we belong to Jesus Christ. So don't be deceived, don't be fooled, naive. Be alert, be watchful. Okay, all right. Till next time.